Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to The Float Live. I'm your host, Bodie Harrison. Joining me, as always, Jeff McCosker, and our special guest, the one and only legendary fastest bonker alive, Neil Bennett.
What's up?
Yay. It's episode 3. Super stoked. We've got Neil down here, a local rider, a one-wheel legend, and a dear friend of ours. And we're super excited to sit and chat, man. How's your morning?
Yeah, everything's going good. I'm just getting through a knee injury the last 5 weeks or so. A couple more weeks, I'll be back ripping with you guys. So I've been laying low, healing everything. So
Knee injury.
Good.
How'd you bust that knee?
Well, some of my friends introduced me to Wake Island. One summer, and I got into the wake skating thing and learned the hard way that you can just land 1 foot on, 1 foot off, and then you're basically doing the splits.
Oof.
And just pop the inside a little bit. So could be way worse. So
yeah, so wake skating's cool, man. It's like, if you guys have never seen it before, it's like wakeboarding without bindings on a way smaller board, like a skateboard, almost like a big skateboard. It's so hard. It's like crazy, crazy difficult. And you were just like, yeah, we're going to do this instead of wakeboard this year, your first time.
Yeah, I just like the challenge. The wakeboarding, a little easier to hop on and off rails without getting hurt, but the wake skating, you got to be super precise, which I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's really good. I like wake skating because it's really good cross training for one wheeling because it's major foot placement. You have to use your legs a lot. You have to plan ahead, and it also lets you use your arms a lot, which I've super appreciated about the cable for sure.
Yeah, I'm really gonna miss it because I am not doing it anymore.
You're out.
Stick to one wheel.
One speed bump, you retire. That's how it is.
I mean, I'm 35, so one good knee injury, and that'll kind of check you.
Yeah,
well, at least
that is true.
That's my current thought process.
So you gonna wakeboard though?
Yeah, he's
I
gonna
think so.
wakeboard
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, what exactly did you hurt in your knee? Because when you originally described it to me, it sounded exactly like an ACL tear, but it sounds like that wasn't the case, right?
Yeah, I basically came in switch onto a angled box and did a board slide and tried to shove it out. Landed 1 foot on and just tweaked it that way.
Oh yeah.
While holding a rope, so it just went against my own pressures in my knee. Popped it out. Had to drag myself to shore. First lap of the day. So
you did MCL
it was the
tear,
first
right?
lap too.
yeah, I tore the MCL, which is the best thing you can tear if you're gonna tear something in your knee because it has the best blood flow and heals itself without surgery. So
That's
as long as I monitor it and don't flex it too soon, should be good to go.
Did they say your meniscus was solid? Because you got an MRI on that, right?
Yeah, I got MRI. Everything looks good. I pulled my groin pretty good at the same time, so
Been there.
that was a fun part.
That was a terrible joke.
So yeah, looking forward to the next riding season. I got lucky; it was in the winter,
Yeah.
so I didn't really miss any one wheel events. Or happened 3 days after I filmed that video with the Future Motion.
Oh, sick.
So I got lucky. I got to at least do that before I got hurt. So
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
What was that
later.
video? One wheel GT trail riding dream day with Neil Bennett.
yeah,
That was the one. Did you choose this title?
I
Hold
didn't
on, we're gonna
choose the
talk about
title.
this later, bro. We gotta.
Well, we got other stuff.
We're skipping over a whole lot.
Sorry for hijacking your show.
We're skipping
Bodie.
over a whole lot here, guys. We can't just jump right into the
Kombucha's
video.
got me hyped.
It is.
So,
It's a
Neil.
good flavor today. I don't even know what it is. Oh, it's the pineapple today. We got pineapple booch today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, just some of the basic human information about you. Where were you born, and where are you living now? Are you still in the same area? Where'd you come up?
Yeah, I kind of moved every few years growing up, always in California, from Central Valley, Modesto to Sacramento. Ended up in Paradise, California, up north to play football in college, Butte College. Then just started working and basically lived there for 15 years. I was a hardcore mountain bike, golf, softball, bowling. I mean, I did everything. Disc
You say
golf,
bowling?
Bowling. I've bowled a 300
Oh,
before.
What are you talking about? You bowled
Yo,
a
I'm not
300?
surprised.
I retired after that because I couldn't do it again. So I was like,
You bowled a
Next,
mic drop.
300?
yeah, in a league.
Oh
I was
What?
bowling in a league. So
Dude, it's so funny. Keaton was asking me today, is Neil just one of those guys that's good at everything? I was like, yeah. Have you ever seen him play golf? He's like, well, he plays golf. I was like, no, he's dang at golf, dude.
I definitely gravitate to the things I'm good at. Like you won't catch me playing basketball or
Yeah, no, I
playing
feel that.
chess or anything, you know, but I know what I'm good at.
Fair
Hell
enough.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I lived in Paradise. And basically that's how I got into one wheeling is end of 2018, there was a big fire up there, wiped out the whole town with like no notice. So I found myself in Roseville at a hotel with my family for about a couple months.
Heavy.
And then my parents, they lost their home too. So they had good insurance. So they got us like a rental for a year where we all lived together in this big house. And it was right across the street from a cool park with like sweet flow trails and like little technical things. And I had never tried a one wheel before. Just seen your guys' videos and Future Motions videos. So I don't know. I found myself without my hobbies. Like I didn't have my bike, my clubs, couldn't afford to replace all that stuff. So got the one wheel without trying it, and it just kind of clicked. And I happened to be at a time where I was kind of off work because that traumatic experience happened.
Right.
So I had like kind of a long time to myself, and I put all my energy basically into that, for better or worse, you know.
Right.
And so I got a year in riding local, and then COVID hit the very next year. So that also stalled work and things. So I just like perfect storm of like
riding.
I had like 2 years of like focus hard on it.
Yeah.
And having you guys around to like push me and watching your videos that's
Which
what
is
got
so
me into
funny because having you around pushed me, and like
Perfect.
because we became homies like probably months and months after you had been riding, and I had come into Sacramento. I had moved into town, and it was like Neil and Austin were these like badass looking trail rider homies that totally were pushing me.
And that was just like Austin did Race for the Rail when it was at North Star.
Right.
And that's when I just got my one wheel. I didn't even know what Race for the Rail was. And he put out a post on Facebook like, does anyone want to train for the next year's race? And I hit him up, I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I met him up in Auburn, and we just chased each other from then on until that Dirt Surfers, I think, was my first race. And I got 4th and then won the Central Qualifier, which was at the same event. So I don't know, put in the work, and it worked out. And like had the W's for that, the W rails, which was like the biggest game changer in trail riding like to date. I feel like everyone's still chasing that. Like other people making rails because that's just how good they are. So it's been a wild ride.
I love your story, but I can't believe you just totally glossed over like this fantastic story of how you came into the shop way back in the day when we met, and then what happened to your first one wheel.
I don't know what you're getting at.
You don't know this story? How do you not know this story is literally happening?
I got a lot of mental blocks.
All right,
you know?
so check this out. Here's what happened.
Okay.
So this is way back in the day at the 24th and I float shop, right? Bodie, I think this is even before your time there. This is when it was just like me and Bob down there, right?
Sick.
Yeah, and Neil rolls in, and it's just like, hey, what's up, man? Great to meet you. He's like, look, I just got this one wheel. Never really rode these things before, but, you know, I'm coming down. He tells me the whole story. You know, he's like, Paradise, house burned down. You know, it's traumatic. Like Paradise Fire was crazy. It was like the most deadly wildfire in California history, right? It was a nutty thing, man. Right. And so you're telling me like, look, man, I lost literally everything that I own. I own nothing now. And I needed to get something for myself. And I chose to get this one wheel. And I was crying when you told me the story. I think it's such a heartfelt story. And then, you know, we get you all laced up. We got you, I think, float plates on there, some sidekicks. I think we might have got you a foot pad. Like, we got your board fully laced up, and you take off to Reno right after that because you had work in Reno, something like that. And then I hear back from you like a few days later, and you're like, dude, you'll never guess what happened. And you came in with a different new one wheel.
Yeah, it got stolen.
It got stolen.
I totally forgot about that.
After he lost everything in his entire life in that horrific fire,
gets this board.
It's the one thing that he owns in this world.
Classic
and it gets stolen like
California,
2 days later. No, it got stolen in Reno.
Yeah, I got stolen in Reno at a hotel by an employee of the hotel.
What?
Yeah.
And
it was an inside job?
Yeah. And like, it was so important to me. I went out and just bought another one right away because you can't just ride a one wheel and then not ride one wheels anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, whatever, I have to buy another one.
Not even once.
Bought another one, and then like 2 weeks later, around, I forget the holiday, but the hotel called me up. They're like, I think we're gonna be able to get this back for you.
Hey.
And it turned out like a bellhop or somebody just took it right out of my trunk.
Dude.
And I got it back with like a couple scratches on it, but Then I had 2 boards, so it worked out.
Blessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thanks.
That's amazing.
I mean, I totally blocked that from my memory.
That's so funny that you didn't remember that.
I remember coming into the shop and like, I just felt silly because like, I'm sure everyone that comes in the shop like wants to be like, hey, I'm fast. Like, let's ride together sometime.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're probably like, you've heard it 100 times. So I just felt like that guy. And so I just went out and went on a mission to like get good so I could hang.
Oh, you passed me up pretty quick there, bud.
Well, I don't know. You kind of retired a little bit by choice on certain things.
Yeah, hang the hat up.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I can't keep up with you guys. Like if to race now, you have to be willing to go down hard. And I'm just not willing to go down super
Well,
hard.
to
you have
win,
to
you
be
can't
willing
go
to
down.
go high 20s.
Yeah.
And going down at high 20s is.
Well, remember back when we used to race at FloatLife Fest, like original FloatLife Fest and like FloatLife Fest 2, we're like, do we have to wear helmets? Like, and dude, we have to wear gear. Like, it's fine. We'll be fine. And Justin's like, yes, you have to wear a helmet. And I feel like maybe even in FloatLife Fest 1, like, kind of weren't really wearing one half the time.
I don't think so.
And now it's like, yeah, I need a helmet. I need wrist guards. I need elbow pads. I need full body armor. I need the
Knee
knees.
pads,
like-
maybe some ankle braces.
Dude, you need like motorcycle jackets.
Yeah,
at this
because
point.
especially now that we're racing on GTs, we're like blasting high speeds.
Yeah, you're going down at 32 instead of 22, and there's a huge difference.
Even 2 years ago, like that first dirt surfers race that I was a part of, like people were not taking it that extreme to the levels that they are now. Like I feel like even Austin and I and Bodie and the whole this side of the, our little crew had like pushed the competitiveness up quite a few notches where people weren't like, I didn't want to kill the fun of it, but it got real competitive and like, okay, this is a real thing. Like you got to really try and like focus and put in some time on your own.
Yeah, it got
or you're not going to
competitive
win.
quick. That year at Dirt Surfers, I remember we all showed up without gear. Like we had helmets and wrist guards, and we're like, this is fine. We had never been to Arkansas and raced trails like that before that were so sharp with that shale. And then everyone starts dropping in. Dom blows his knee open, has to get a bunch of stitches. Like people start getting broke off. And so everyone at the event goes down to all the bike shops.
Yeah,
in
where's
town
the bike
and
shops, bro?
buys out all the knee pads in the whole town. And every single bike shop is like, we don't have knee pads. All you freaking one-wheelers came by and bought them all. Like there was not a set of knee pads to be found in Bentonville after that. Or
Similar
Eureka
with
Springs.
that Las Vegas race right after.
Yeah,
That was real
Yeah,
sharp
let it
and
ride.
chunky.
Vegas, yeah.
And that's what happens. You come from your region where it could be sandy and flat, and then all of a sudden you're in Arkansas with razor sharp like arrowheads basically on the ground. It's like this ain't the same thing, so you really got to prepare yourself for different scenarios. And
I was used to those Tahoe trails. That
Yeah.
DG, that decomposed granite, nice and soft. It's like landing in powder. It's great. Every once in a while you hit a rock, but whatever.
I feel like the riders are getting more competitive, but also the courses are getting a little bit more competitive, and they're getting a little longer and more technical. And riders like myself are pushing for more and more features. And so I think that aspect is kicking it up a notch too. And we're getting more cameras on these races too, so people want to like show out and look good, and people are representing a lot more brands and sponsors now. So like the level just all around is like rising and rising for sure.
yeah, it's kind of like I used to go to a lot of bike festivals like Sea Otter Classic in Monterey, and basically it's like all these little camps. These guys, there's pro team here,
Right.
and it was hard to interact with like pros at that level because that sport is so huge. So we're really lucky to where like the pros in One Wheel are like very personable and like willing to teach people and like, hey, come ride with us, and it's like a different vibe. And I think that's what brings people in so fast.
Definitely.
We're very inclusive
Yeah.
in general.
Plus, road bikers are nerds anyway, so whatever. Spandex.
Yeah, no
wearing.
singlets out here. Nope.
No singlets.
Nope.
Yeah, speaking of camaraderie and community and inclusiveness, I wanted to ask you, what has been your like favorite race or event that you've been a part of so far? Like what's been your kind of like highlight?
From a riding aspect, I really love dirt surfers because it takes me back to like more my origin of single track riding. And I feel like that really proves who's got these boards dialed or like who knows their board the best, who's really trained, because you can't just wing it out there and win, So I like that one. I don't really love as much the group style side-by-side racing because there's so much luck and
Right.
something could happen
There's a
to you
lot of
that's out of your
variables.
control and then you get all bummed out. So I like to have all the control in my hands, and like it's up to me if I do well or not. You know, can't point blame at anybody. But that's the most fun for me, is going out there and getting real competitive on single track with guys like you and Kyle and Floaty and obviously Austin. Like Austin and I, we know each other's riding so well. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like we both have our strong suits, and we push each other to like learn each other's style. And you too, I follow you around places I've been 100 times, and you could do something. I'm like, that's not possible. And then you do it. And then like, I'll go back later and like figure it out, you know, or try to.
Yeah, dude, I love watching you and Austin ride and watching your guys' dynamic. It's pretty cool because you can observe it and just learn from it and enjoy it, and becoming a part of it. Like, you guys are very welcoming and inclusive, and it's like I mentioned earlier, it's progressed me as a rider majorly, like being around you guys and working with you guys.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Well, they're different riding styles too, which is really interesting to watch. Like the different lines you guys will take down the same exact course is pretty wild. Like
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Austin will take like the line that zigzags the rocks and keeps it high and then drops in to carry momentum, and you're just like, oh, if I hit that first rock, I could just gap over to the very end of it and keep blasting through. Like, very different riding styles, but both of them are super effective because you guys, you know, win equal amounts of stuff, I think.
Yeah, you can see like he comes from a motocross background, so he thinks more about coming into corners and exiting out. Like the way he brakes and accelerates kind of mimics that, where I'm kind of like trying to flow through everything at a constant speed. So it's just different approaches where, you know, hammer on, hammer off.
Yeah.
True.
Yep. Line choices is just my favorite part of it, really, because you got to be thinking on the fly, total focus. You can't be looking at the scenery or, you know, I don't know. I like being in total like focus of what I'm doing. But
Flow state.
Yep. And then also when I get tired of being competitive with myself, like I just love riding with the community and like handful of guys out on the trails. And, you know, if I'm like not really feeling hyped, I get hyped watching them. I get hyped. You know what I mean? Like something simple to me might make somebody's day that they made it over, or, you know.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm kind of currently digging the most right now, is just helping other people out, figure out how to ride and enjoy it, show them the trails.
Yeah, dude. 100%. That's like one of the most beautiful parts of life and parts of one-wheeling, is being able to get stoked on the homies' progressions and help people up over those hills, which actually, I was just looking at my notes, and this leads into a really cool thing. I wanted to ask you if you have any kind of tips that come to mind for new riders, or any pieces of advice for people that are kind of commute riders and want to push it up a notch and consider themselves maybe a racer or a trail rider. Do you have any tips for people that want to like push it or go a little harder and faster?
I'd say a lot of the people that are new to trails I see could get lower. Like bend your knees is like the obvious like tip for a lot of board sports. But when your knees are locked out and your board's moving around, there's only one place you can go, you know? And so being your legs are your suspension. So I think that's my strength, is I can squat down and be totally comfortable, and my legs can absorb, you know, this much of chunk or whatever, and without tossing me around. So like really work on your leg strength, and like when you are scared of a feature, just get low and don't be afraid to hop off early or try, you know. With big sends, I always say you got to like land on the foot pads, you know, and then fall. Like there's so many times where if I bail early, you don't know what that board's going to do under your legs. So that's when I usually would get hurt or see other people get hurt. So if you see like some of my fail videos, which I have a lot out there, I'm usually landing on the foot pads and then wiping, you know, I'm sliding out. Or
I feel that. Yeah, because
you know,
especially with skateboards, you can kick them away pretty easily, and they're wood and urethane, so they kind of hit the concrete and skid away. But with your one wheel, that thing has got a round tire that could bounce in any direction. So like,
and it's kind of dancing in the air, trying to correct itself. So you don't really know what it's going to do.
100%.
So, especially with GTs now being 35 pounds.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for those suckers.
Yeah.
Dude, they're deadly, bro. They hurt the shinners off of those things. Ooh, wee.
Yeah, dude. I just caught a run out off the front and had the front foot pad hit me in the back of the heel, and it sent shockwaves into my head.
What?
Like, it was just like
all the way up.
I was like, yeah, I'm a ride my XR.
No, you mean your vest, baby vest.
Honestly, a lot of my tips I got from some of your videos, you know, like your video from back in the day taught me how to bonk.
Yep.
You know, and then I just like ran with that. And Also, something for new people on
Gotta do more of
trails, like
those.
run it, like don't avoid every obstacle. Like
Yeah.
learn how to hit them, even if you
Mhm.
don't want to, because those things are gonna sneak up on you when you least expect it, and you'll be prepared.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I agree. I think a lot of people will spend a lot of time like choosing a good line and a good fast line, but not often hitting the features. And then features come, even just like route bonks become more of a feature and more of a mental block and less of like a, oh, there it is, I'm going to hit it or incorporate it into my line. Like Jeff was saying, I feel like that's something I love about your style, especially not racing, is you have bally vision
Yeah.
on at all times.
Totally. I want to bonk everything. I'm not trying to go down to flat, and just hope the board's there. I'd rather have it in the air under my feet, and you know exactly how that is. So.
Absolutely.
I think that's a big advantage for riders like Kyle Hansen and Floaty as well. They've got that trick background to where they're used to come like their board flying in the air and then landing back on it. And so they've got the option to take fast lines and stay on the ground and like get the most efficient. They also have the option like you have where you can blast over stuff, right? Or you hit unexpected bumps and it doesn't freak you out and you just seize up and fall down, right? They can handle it.
Yeah, practice it all and you'll be prepared when it happens in a race setting.
And you know how to fall too. That's a super important thing that I feel like people just don't cover that much.
I'd say that's a strength of every good rider.
Like being able to fall, right?
Yeah, being able to fall and not
Because you're
stress.
going to take slams. So you have to be able to take slams and get back up and keep riding, or else you can't progress. If
Yeah.
every time you fall, you're out for weeks, or you have to dial it back to 30%. The progression's going to just move too slow.
Yeah, and I see that a lot with like big group rides on trails. Like I kind of almost try and tailor my group rides that I put up or join to like be like 5 or 6 people and equal kind of ability levels, just to protect people from themselves. And like, I know it's not really my place, but I like to like kind of guide people through stuff. Like, it's just my nature. So
yeah, of course.
that's how I
Nurturing nature.
Where like when I first rode with you guys just took off at 22 miles an hour, and I
Sorry
didn't even
for
know
partying,
an XR could go that fast. You had like a Friday ride, I think, from the old shop, and I was like, I didn't even know you could go past 18.
Yeah, we got a little too rowdy on those group rides. Cop shut us down.
I think I caught the last. I caught the last
Shut it
one.
down.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the hardest parts of group rides, and especially trail group rides, because that's not just pavement. It's really, really hard to keep a group of people together when you get over like 5, 6, 7, 8. When you get to like 10, 15, 20, especially up in those fatty group rides, it is a science or an art to like keep everyone together and keep everyone safe.
So many factors, and then if you're a dad like me or Jeff, like you can't take 3 times as long to get a ride in.
Right.
Like you kind of gotta stick to somewhat of a schedule so you can get home and not be in the doghouse.
Yeah, you told the wife you're gonna be home at 7. You gotta be home at fucking 7:30.
Yep. Perfect ride for me is like get on the board, ride trails, and I don't step off until I'm done. Like that's like kind of the flow state kind of thing. Where that's why I do a lot of solo rides lately, because I control the pace and but
When the nose comes up, you go home.
exactly.
Nose up, head down. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I feel that. It's definitely really special when you can like have a really cool group of guys to ride with locally. And if you don't, then you just gotta campaign in your town, get everybody into one wheeling, tell them to buy one wheel, kit it out with FloatLife products, and then you have a squad.
Yeah, and then if you're not there, they're still riding together and still making each other better.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to go ahead and shift topics here back to what Jeff was so excited about earlier, which is our boy, Mr. Neil Bennett here is a superstar.
I don't know about that one.
One wheel GT trail riding, Dream Day with Neil Bennett. Made sure to put the colon in there. I think that's important.
For a second, I thought you said Colton. I was like,
no, that's that guy.
confused me. No, Colton's over there. Did you come up with that title? You asked that earlier. No,
definitely didn't come up with the title. I really didn't know what we were going to do that day. Like I had always kept hitting up Laser or, all those guys. Like we need a mountain bike style edit, whatever. And they hit me up and said, okay, I think it's a good time to do this. So went up there, really just had like a few hours, hit some pretty mellow trails, but we tried to make them interesting. And they just asked me some questions afterward. Tried to relate it to like how I got from mountain biking to one wheeling. I think they realized that's like a big demographic of people that could have similar interests, and they already know where the trails are.
Right.
So
Is that the vision that you had for the video when you wanted to do like a mountain bike style edit, or do you think it kind of turned out as being something different?
I think it turned out a little more mellow and like commercialized for like the masses.
Mhm.
I would probably want to do like a little bit more extreme. That
Yep.
was pretty mellow trails. Like Santa Cruz trails are fun, but they're not that wild. Like
Right.
just a lot of rollers and some
Yeah.
roots. But I'd
Not
like to
even
get
any
out to the
rocks.
steep stuff and do what's really challenging and like really show. I want people to watch a video of trail edit and be like, oh wow, like they can do that. Like similar feeling when I saw you guys' floatcation video from Tahoe like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
That's the video that got me into one wheeling, honestly.
Which was that Flocation 2?
Two
Yeah.
or three.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Isaac, I think it was Isaac, bonk that boulder.
huge
First
gap.
try.
First try
no
blind.
look. I was just like, send it, go as fast as you can. It's a mellow bonk and you'll send it deep. And he's like, okay. And just pointed it right into it. Yeah.
Yep. And I remember Vinny Lucido commented on that video and he said, how do I become a pro and like ride with you guys? And you're like, if you can clear that gap, we'll talk. And so I purposely went out to that Sidewinder trail and I found that thing. And
that's hilarious.
And I got really good on that rock. I'm like,
Fuck
all right,
yeah.
if Jeff ever denies me, I'm like, hey, I did what you said.
Dude, that is the second best hit on that whole entire trail.
What's
It's
the first
so-
best hit?
Oh, first best hit? Let me see if we could throw it up right here really quick. I don't know if we can or not. I don't know if I can find it. But up towards the top, right after you drop in, you start coming down Corral there, and there's a big granite wedge that launches off, but the landing is directly into another rock, and you got to land and chicane around the other rock really quick.
I got
You
a
know
few
the one I'm
clips
talking about?
of that spot.
Yeah, that
Yep.
spot is sick. So much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a clip of me on it, but there's also another clip of Noah Mead sending it. Was it Noah Mead that sent it or Jeff Adair? Shit, it was one of the two. Yeah.
I haven't
we'll find
seen
out.
footage of those two guys on Sidewinder.
Yeah, one of
before.
them took a digger into it and then got back up and hit it again like super bolts. So
Yep.
that's a sick hit, though. I like that one.
Totally. I forgot the question, but
Oh, I was reminding you guys that we're amongst a superstar here, and I was thinking maybe we can watch the video here with our lovely, amazing viewers, and we can put
That'd
it
be
up
cool.
right here, and our amazing engineer Colton can put it up right there, and we can all watch it together.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Because have you seen this yet?
Seen what?
Dream Day with Neil Bennett?
Yeah, I watched it the day it came out. Are you kidding me?
I don't think I've seen it yet.
You haven't
I
seen
think
this?
my mom's watched it more than anybody. She's been sharing it.
Can you start it from the beginning?
It's honestly some of the same trails you guys did your tack jacket promo video on.
Yeah, it's that same section over there, the Wilder area.
Yep.
What are
We
you
did a
talking
lot.
about
We
right
did
here?
a lot more too. We took some drone footage and a couple other hits. Maybe they're saving that footage.
Well, now, why are you riding a stock tire in this one, Neil? What's going on?
Yeah, for some reason they wanted me to ride a stock tire, which was kind of funny because I got to ride the Enduro for Race for the Rail.
Yeah.
Sir.
So really, it actually did slow my riding down shooting this because Santa Cruz is full of roots, and as you know, that treaded tire does not take hard side hits very well.
Not the best, unless you're trying to do kick flips.
But I got
then
to
it takes
drive
them
the
great.
van, which was dope. I got to drive the van.
Dude, I noticed that when I
Hey,
watched
okay.
this.
They didn't have seats in the back, so I was in like a lawn chair in the back getting chauffeured up there.
So who all
Now
went-
that I'm seeing this, I have seen this. I thought for a second I hadn't seen it yet, and I was kind of like burning myself, and I was like, no,
no,
I've
you've
seen
definitely
this for
seen
sure.
this.
Because you pull up in the van and drop out of it. That's sick.
Yeah, who all rolled with you on this? Was Jack there, Laser,
That was
Joey?
Laser and Kevin.
Kevin.
The boys.
Yeah.
Kevin's the new guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's cool. He's rad.
They were super cool. We did it in one battery charge. You know, ideally I'd wanted
One
to spend
battery, one,
Yeah.
one. Yeah, dude.
One take, baby.
one
Nice.
take.
It's hard to make a
Did you take
banger
any
in
good
one
diggers
battery.
out there?
No, I took no diggers.
No digs.
No diggers.
Digless. That shot is so sick. The tap.
Little drifter.
Yeah, that was fun. This part right here is very hard too. Like in
That
person,
side hit.
it's not really
Yeah.
made very well for one wheel.
Little root side hit. That's one of my favorite little like type of features to hit on the wheel is those like little side hits from off the trail back onto the trail. Like that has a little pop to it.
Yeah,
root.
it's hard to show elevation too on these trails.
Oh yeah.
We hit a lot of stuff that was like borderline too steep for one wheel, and it didn't even look remotely steep. So yeah, you hit that one in the tack jacket
Yep.
video.
Yep. That's
you
such a
probably
fun
did a-
little feature.
You probably did a sex change off it or something.
No, I didn't really spice it up much.
Cool.
Yeah. Nice. To the vibes.
Yeah, the vibe
Hey
on
guys,
this
I'm
kind
Neil
of got.
Bennett, and I'm way faster than you.
That's what I should have went with. It was a little more like, I don't know, the vibe of it was more like, it looked like a sad puppy out there, like, I don't know, trying to find happiness or something. But that's just how it worked out. They interviewed me like at the end when I was tired and out of breath
thought it
and
was
hungry.
Yeah, I thought it
appreciate
was
it.
great, man. And this
Thank you.
is like the first sort of rider profile style video that they've done with someone that was like directly out of the one wheel community. Like it seems like they've done stuff like this before, but it was always kind of like, oh, here's a avocado farmer that also owns a one wheel, or like here's a slackliner that also owns a one wheel. This is like, here is a one wheeler who owns lots of one wheels, and what he does, he one wheels.
Yeah.
Sole focus, one wheel.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Future Motion, for this video and for Neil.
That's sick.
We need more of this kind of stuff for sure.
Well, I'm sure we'll be making more
Oh,
of
yeah.
this.
Well, we've been
Did they offer you any
around.
cheese? Did you get a cheese picnic?
No cheese platter, no
we
picnic.
got cheese.
I usually get a taqueria burrito out of those trips.
Okay.
That's good enough for me.
It's not bad.
Do you have any ideas or like dream spots or trips or films that you've thought of, or like certain? Is there any like video ideas bouncing around that head of yours?
Something I really want to do is go to like these little hubs of trail riders. I feel like in Arkansas, in Michigan, like there's certain pockets where there's guys that are really trying to get to the next level. And like for you or me or Austin to go out there and ride those guys and just help level them up would be super cool. Because there's a lot of guys that are just like one notch, you know, there's like a process to it. You're not going to win your first race.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to manage that stuff. So
100%.
I don't know. I think it'd be cool to just level up those guys that are like in the in between stage.
Absolutely.
So and they're the ones that would be the most hyped because they're like all in,
Yeah.
passionate.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and that makes for more racers because like we've got, you know, the one wheels, you know, kind of getting the whole like national thing, kind of starting to figure that out, like being able to get people from the west, from the east, pulling them from the events. But I would love to see more of like the local zones being able to have more like high level racers coming into the scene and have more like regional competitions, and you see more like regional championships along the lines of the like Strava races that some of the guys have been doing around like the underground circuit and the SoFlo series and some of that stuff.
Well, that's all going to be on Hermes now.
It is all gonna be on Hermes now, isn't it? Yeah. Have you guys messed with Hermes much yet? Have you been doing some stuff with Hermes?
I gotta admit, I haven't. No, I didn't take the underground thing. I didn't dive into it this year like I used to. Just had other priorities this year, but
Yeah, it was a lot to
exciting.
balance that in with the whole season too.
Yep.
I didn't get much of that either. Yeah, Hermes is sitting on my phone ready to go. Like Hermes is basically Strava made for one wheelers, right?
Yeah. I've got it downloaded. I still haven't opened it yet. But same thing with the Future Motion app with the ride
Haven't used
segments
that either.
thing. I haven't even opened it.
I still don't have a profile on that. I've never logged
Same.
into my one wheel app.
never.
I probably, if I logged in, dude, how many miles do you think we'd have if we had logged in every time we rode our one wheel since V1 days?
I don't know. I'd probably have a few commas in it. Yeah.
That'd be so wild. Because you have to log in for it to track your miles. You have to connect to your board every time, right?
I would assume so. And that leads to another question too. Like they recently had the 100 million miles ridden. I wonder how that was calculated. Is that just through rides that are tracked?
It had to have been
or-
tracked rides.
I-
Because then that means
Yeah.
there's way more
Way more.
miles.
They have access to all our odometer counts, right?
True, but I've had a lot of
Oh.
odometers reset. Like my odometers
Really?
reset on so many of my boards are like you replace the controller, odometer resets.
So is
you
it
know.
like every time a one wheel turns on and gets connected to a phone, it just like pings them the data maybe?
Maybe. And I thought you had to like send diagnostics in order for them to get that type of data, or else why would they ask you to send diagnostics? Or maybe that's just a
Right.
whole different thing. I don't know. I feel like we're speaking out
Dude,
of turn. We
statistics
have no
and
idea
data
what we're
is,
talking about.
I don't even.
Could be some good marketing. 100 million.
Yeah, 100 millions. That's
Yeah, maybe
cool,
they just
though,
picked the
man.
word.
It's impressive though.
Yeah. Yeah, they just pick a number.
Like, how many
prove
miles
us-
do you
prove
think
us
we've
wrong.
made?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, everyone's probably ridden about 200 miles on average.
How many miles do you think you have?
I have no clue. Like, I couldn't even pick a number out of a hat and guess. I know that I usually Like I'll ride a board until it's maybe around like 1,000 or 1,500 before it totally explodes and just dies on me, and I'll have to switch controllers or like start to edit it or whatever. But I have no idea. I couldn't.
It's hard to say.
Couldn't even guess.
Yeah.
Because
It's
I
definitely-
never look at my app or do any of that kind of stuff. Like I set it to mission and forget about it.
Yeah.
I usually do my battery just based off the blink on the light.
Mhm.
Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah.
Old school,
I
baby.
don't see any need for
Because
it.
most people don't know, your blink on your one wheel is telling you how much battery it has based on its like rate of blinking. And you can also like turn it on its side and change the mode, right? Without
Cody's giving away all these one wheel hacks for another video right now.
Oh yeah. we're gonna
Don't
do
forget,
another
we're making a
on
whole
this.
video on
You
one
don't
wheel
you don't
hacks.
need to change the mode because the mission is the
Yeah,
only
exactly.
mode.
But you can turn it on
Yes,
its
you
side
can.
and like do some
Okay.
whole like GTA hack, like XXYY up down RB,
Yeah.
and you can like change it.
Yo, here we
Mode.
go. Konami code, sick.
Yeah.
So no, speaking of modes though, you were just you've been hanging out with Future Motion a little bit, a couple
Yeah.
times.
Mhm.
Do you have any insider info on when we might get custom for GT?
Custom, the only thing I know is that they're actively working on it and they're really curious about feedback from, I don't know about if they've been hitting you up too, but Jack hits me up quite often for feedback and like ideas on custom, what people want. I know they've been like sidetracked with all this legal stuff that's going on, so that took precedence. Pretty sure their whole marketing team is having to help with that. So that really slowed some progress down, but I know it's important to them, and it really is important to the community just to keep the GT stoke there.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially with how like the Vesk is crushing it right now and has so much customizability that like they kind of in a way need to come out with a pretty like customizable profile for the GT.
yeah, ideally, like if we could use these aftermarket rails and not have to tweak controllers and angles,
If
that
I
would
could
be
never
ideal.
make another tilt kit the rest of my life, I would be
100%.
such a happy guy.
That was like the main thing I was trying to get across is people are going to get in there and start tweaking stuff if you don't give them the control.
yeah.
So I
It's
don't
like
see
last
it
time I
hurt.
talked to Kyle, I was like, please make it so I never have to make this product ever again. Like, it's
Right.
such an easy fix on your guys' end to just make it into the software that we don't have to hack these one wheels apart and rip apart the controller and put in like a tilted aftermarket piece that may or may not put stress on certain joints. And like, it's obviously it's not good to open things up, change them out and put them back together. If you could just leave it whole, it's going to be healthier.
Right.
Yep.
100%.
So hopefully, like nose adjustment. You know, I ride flow, so if I could just have a nose adjustment in flow, that would solve like most of my racing needs.
Yeah.
And just different terrain, you gotta change that stuff.
Yo, Jeff, what if they did separate braking and accelerating controls?
I've been
so you
asking
could
for that
separate your front end
for-
and your back end.
4 years now.
Yeah.
Even back when Sammy was working for him still, I was like, Sammy, give me the front end of Delirium and the back end of Mission and I'll be a happy man. And he's like,
Separate them.
no.
I feel like it
Interesting.
can't be that hard to have the acceleration parameters and the braking parameters, and you can tweak both.
You would think so, but apparently it's kind of difficult to get an asymmetrical profile. I know that Vesk right now is kind of on the verge of cracking that if it's not already kind of starting to come through. Dado was telling me that there's some stuff coming through with like asymmetrical profiles. So,
It'd be pretty legit.
yeah.
That's one thing with flow I requested was you can kind of dip the back end real hard, which is good for nudges and stuff like that, but it should match the front
Yeah.
spring that the front has, you know, just in general.
Yeah,
Just,
I agree. And I think there's other ways to tweak it too that would be really cool to be able to tune it based on your current speed that you're going as well. And like maybe the faster you go, the tighter it gets. Or,
Yeah.
you know, maybe the reverse if that's what you want. Like maybe you want it slow speed, super, super twitchy. And then the faster you get, it gets a little bit looser and a little bit easier. Like I think there's ways that you could tune these things that people are starting to tune them now with Vesk and writing custom code for it. That's like really interesting.
definitely. What's your go-to mode on the GT?
Highline.
Highline?
Yeah, I like
Oh, it's not
flow,
Bay.
but high.
Shaping bay?
Yeah, shaping
Yeah,
bad.
shaping bay if they had it. Nah, but it's Highline because I really like how buttery flow is, but Highline feels how snappy I want it to feel and feels a little bit more similar to Mission for me, I think. But I like them both. But I prefer the higher nose of Highline in turns and stuff. because a lot of what I like to do and am doing is like turning hard into like lifting my nose to get into tricks and like deep tight turns. I like to get really tight, so I like highline keeping me up a little more.
Yeah, and the Future Motion firmware has never been really good with deep, tight turns, keeping the nose off the ground, right? Because it seems like
always
you're
been pretty
always
low.
dipping that bumper in, like around berms and stuff. It's never been good on transition.
Yeah, you can't just hold the throttle the whole way through a bank turn. You got to get your speed ahead of time almost and coast through the turn before
Yeah.
you can accelerate out or whatever.
Were you just saying a second ago that you wanted a flow with a higher nose, like a flow but with a nose of highline? Is that what you said? Or
No, I wanted flow with stronger brakes.
stronger brakes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just feel like it's a little too easy when I'm braking to get the tail down.
On that
Yeah,
ground.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's something that I thought was really interesting. So the other day when we went and did that Vesk trail vid up in Tahoe, the incline flume trail, I thought that the reason why tail drags would get all crazy and wonky is that it just wasn't braking hard enough. And I think what's actually happening when you get crazy out of control tail drags is that it's braking too hard and it's locking up your tire. And it's like when you're in a car and before anti-lock brakes, when you used to slam on the brakes too hard, you would lose control.
Yeah.
And so I think if there was some sort of, I don't want to say like anti-lock brake system, but something that can keep your tire from breaking loose and completely losing control, I think you'd be able to ride out tail drags a whole lot easier.
Which I had suggested maybe having some kind of like limit parameter for your wheel can only spin backwards a certain speed. And that way it can never take off like ripping backwards and burn out that way. Kind of similar to how in a car you can only go reverse so fast.
Yep.
I think
Also,
that's
you gotta
interesting, yeah.
adjust your riding too. Like if you're going downhill, you don't really want to be standing straight up and down. Like you kind of got to lean into it.
Yeah.
If you're depending on what you're
Yeah.
trying to do.
It's like dropping in a quarter pipe. You gotta lean. You like
Yeah, you gotta trust it.
with the
That's a
flow.
big part of it.
Sometimes you get that tail drag though, baby.
Sometimes that tail be dragging. You gotta ride that
That's
dragon. Well, I do have the one question. Another question.
Shoot.
Do you have any constructive criticisms of this past race season? Just not of any particular race or organizing crew or event, but like as a race, for the season as a whole, like, is there anything you wish would have gone differently or could have been better? And like, what are you looking forward to coming into the next season?
I think the ranking system they used for the ORL was pretty interesting and like cool in theory. It wasn't really predictable enough to where I could be like, okay, I'm here. I need to go to the East Coast and I need to do this well. Like that would be ideal. I think they're working on something like similar to what cross country or mountain biking's using now. So I think that'll be really good in the future. Yeah, the ranking system was different. I feel like dirt surfers and even Seek and Shred, it has all the competition there. If you look at like top 10, top 12 finishers, like those are the guys that are going to race for the rail anyways. So I don't know. I'd like to see more spots given out at those races.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it. It's so young that every
it's
year's
in
getting
early
better,
stages.
so it's hard to complain. Like if we were seeing regression every year, then I'd be getting frustrated, you know?
Yeah.
But it seems like everyone's on this similar paths, and I appreciate the different events for what they are. You know, I don't take the same level of competitiveness to Seek and Shred necessarily, even though this year was an ORL qualifier, so you have every reason to like go crazy, but it's got the social vibe too.
Right.
So you can kind of, I don't know, decide how you're feeling
Yeah.
that trip.
Yeah.
you know?
100%.
Yeah, it's more of an event with a race on the side as opposed to a race with an event on the side.
Yeah, but it's still a serious race, and it's still the top riders are there, and you want to see how you're doing. But also, if you lose, it's not like you just pack your bags and go home.
Yeah.
You still got a couple days to hang out with your buddies, and
Yep. And have a super good
you get
time.
over it real quick. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm curious, because I was just at the Oak City float track helping them with their build weekend, and me and Bart Miller were given a section of the track to work on together. And we sat there back and forth for a little while. Bart arguing for like fast lines and with like a racing mindset, and me with as many features as possible.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, moving forward, like, do you want to see more features in trail riding, like more and more features, or do you want to kind of see trail riding stay more all about like speed and line choice and that kind of side of things? Like, do you want to see more features in racing or less, you think?
I think it kind of depends on the event. I don't know if like at dirt surfers where it's like pure single track that's been there forever. Like I don't think we should be messing with those and like
Right.
throwing out one wheel specific features. But like at Shredfest or any of the other ones, like I like the features. I think it levels people up. I think they get excited that they're intimidated on day one, and by the end of the event, they're hitting it clean and they want to come back next year and like not a big deal. So it definitely helps the progression and all the features. They just benefit like guys like you and me that are comfortable on that stuff. So like at Race for the Rail, those kickers and that crazy Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
Ranger danger.
That was
Ranger
pretty wild.
danger.
Like that was kind of on the edge of what we can do at least at the top speeds.
Yeah.
As
yeah,
it should
especially
be
with
for
GTs.
the biggest race of the year.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think ultimately these races should push to see, you know, who, like you said with dirt surfers, who knows their board best, who's most consistent, who can bomb down the trail, but also get off the ground a little bit and like handle. But you also don't want it to turn into like a slopestyle competition where actually
Or Carnage
I do. Or Carnage Fest.
Well, I don't think the features necessarily need to be high speed, gnarly features too.
Right.
I think some more technical stuff in there would be really cool. I've
Yeah.
always wanted a straight up big old nudge in the middle of the course
Yeah.
where you would
course
have
you
to
do.
slow down to almost stop speed and nudge up it in order to keep on going.
Yeah.
I think that would be sick.
I agree.
Because having features where you send them at 28 miles an hour is so gnarly.
Yeah, it's hectic.
I guess it's on us how fast we send them at, but when there's
'Cause that's
10
part of
grand
the
on the
game.
line,
Yeah.
When
And-
money's on the line,
Yeah.
your reputation's on the line, and
Totally.
the cameras are rolling, and the crowd is cheering.
but when you're designing a course or you're hosting a race, you could have all the best intentions and throw all these features out there, and you're going to get a few people that are like, hey, I race trails. I didn't come out here to
Right.
hit kickers.
Yeah.
You know, so there's like a balance, you know,
100%.
it's tricky.
Yeah,
It
but
is
man, at the
tricky. You
world
can't please
finals,
everyone.
you got to be able to ride everything.
Yeah, that's what
You don't want
Race
the
for the Rail
one
is.
guy who's good at going fast down a fire road to win the world finals. You want the most well-rounded rider, right? Like that, like Kyle won it, man. He's
Yeah.
like one of, if not the most well-rounded rider out there, right?
100%.
So that's what you want, is you want to incentivize someone who's not really good at this one little specific area of it, but who has mastery over the entire board.
And like those kickers that Race for the Rail, they're probably meant for half that speed. You
Yeah.
know, the steepness and the abruptness of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that really tested
That was a
like
serious
who really
challenge.
can just do whatever with their board and just hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
Noah's a
no
wild
one's
man for setting that
practicing.
whole thing, dude.
Yeah.
No one's practicing that stuff on their own. Like,
No, not really. Because you got to have like there were certain people there that were like, "Hey, like this is cool. I'm excited, but like I haven't been able to practice on this. Like there's none of these where I ride. Like how do I practice this? Like for certain people, you'd have to seek out like a local bike trail and find the kicker or build your own kicker. But I think it's something that you said made me realize something interesting, that I think features are far more important and more necessary for the head-to-head races, the shorter head-to-head races, because they're quicker. They need to be more of a test. There needs to be something shaking things up, making opportunities
Totally.
to pass, making it so you have to brake and reset and shift and find your line into the feature, and then other people around you can kind of utilize that as a way to change things. But for solo time trial races or qualifiers or stuff like that with like more single trail, like I don't think the features are more necessary, and it's a lot harder to work in a good amount of features into a long track like that. So yeah, I think head-to-head racing needs, in my opinion, needs more features, even more than we had in Race of the Rail this year. Because if you watch something I like to draw inspiration from, have you guys seen the like ice hockey racing thing that Red Bull puts on?
Yeah, it's so wild.
yeah, downhill slalom pump track on ice, basically. Yeah.
They're on
Gnarly.
hockey skates and they build a whole crazy course, and it's like it's up and down and there's a jump to the gap here and turn there, because as we've seen in some races, if there's not enough like substance there's not enough texture to the course, it's just who gets the whole shot and who can't fall, and there's no opportunities to pass. There's not as much stuff to mix up, and some spots in the trails will widen up, but we're all already pushing the boards to their max. So passing without a turn or a feature, an obstacle or something to create an opportunity to pass is dangerous and super hard, because we're at the limit, and then you have to push the limit for a consistent amount of time to catch up on the person and pass them. So I think,
dude, I'm with you. There's a reason why there's turtle shells in Mario Kart.
yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you.
Exactly.
And that's the reason, like at Shredfest, we put all like the ramps and the teeter totters and stuff like in the bottom of the track where there's spectators.
Right.
You know, it's pointless to put them all up in the woods where no one can see it.
Yeah, because that's also a big thing that I try to keep in mind, and I think everybody should keep in mind is that it's got to be a spectator sport too. You know, we want it to be fun to watch, and it's really fun to bomb down a trail going super fast because for the rider and your experience, it's super hectic and it's crazy and it's bouncy. But from an outside perspective, it's just like a person like just going across on the trail, and to have our sport be super successful and have like these events be bigger and have people want to come out and watch and come check it out. It's got to be fun to watch. Yeah. And that's what the features do. And that's why I think a lot of people really enjoyed the final races of Seek and Shred, is because there was the teeter totters at the bottom that got super hectic. Tyler almost got like taken out. A couple people almost got taken out by the teeter totters and then into the kicker.
Yep.
It's so much fun. It's so cool to watch. But yeah, dude, more features. I'm always fighting for more features. But also, gotta have straight lines. Gotta have fast lines. Well, Mr. Neil, did you have anything you wanted to say to the people coming into today's podcast?
No, I just appreciate you guys having me. Like, I don't think I'm all that special or, to be a spokesperson for anything, but I've just been in a good spot to where I have good relationships with like Future Motion and you guys. And it's just working out to where I can ride how I want to ride and people think it's cool. And I don't know, it's just built up my own community for myself.
Yeah.
When that Paradise fire happened, it kind of took the whole community that I was a part of and scattered it. So I had to kind of start from scratch, not only from like belongings, but like my people, like my circle.
Right.
So it was like a fast track to friends, and like it wasn't forced, it came natural. So I'm just happy to be here and keep pushing. I'm trying to just be an ambassador for the sport and be approachable by people and help people get stoked.
Yeah, which you certainly are.
One last thing before we sign out, since we were talking events and races and stuff like that, there is one new event next year that I'm crazy hyped on.
What is it?
Trail Slayer, baby.
Trail Slayer.
Do you know about Trail Slayer
yet? I haven't even heard
yet?
of this.
Do you guys
Nobody
know
tells
about
me
Trail
anything.
Slayer yet? All right, so Dave Stewart, everyone knows Dave Stewart, winner of Race for the Rail 2019? 18?
He won one of them.
2018. 2019 was Dom at North Star.
Yeah.
Right?
2018.
So,
the last one.
Dave, that was the year I was supposed to win, but Dave won it.
Yeah.
And no, Dave is throwing an event at Sky Tavern, and we were up there the other week riding practice, like scoping the trails for him and getting everything laced up. There's the sickest dual slalom I've ever ridden in my entire life is at Sky Tavern. It's so fun. It's going to be enduro style, much like dirt surfers, but it's all at Sky Tavern. It's all Tahoe style. It's no sharp shale. It's all that fun DG. It's a big buy-in price. I think it's like $200 to enter, but it's like 10 grand or something crazy on the line for winner. So he's got a huge prize pool. Yep. And it's going to be some of the wildest racing out there. It's going to be June 24th, 2023 is when it's going to be.
It's actually the weekend right after Shredfest. So people that are coming out from a distance, just book that extra weekend and it'll be worth it. It's anyone that rides trails on the West Coast and is going to be out there. Yep. And, Dave, he's awesome. So
yeah, it's great. I think, we have that video that you filmed of Jesse riding down high fives. That's going to be one of the courses. Yeah. So we'll put the link to that down in the description. Probably you guys can check out what the course is going to look like, but it's enduro style. I think there's like maybe five segments, something like that. I may be speaking out of my butt on that one, but I do know that the dual slalom is going to be part of the race, and a dual slalom race that isn't crazy gnarly like Thunderdome is like so fun. Yeah. So fun. Yeah. Not saying Thunderdome is
It'll be
fun,
like rebranch vibes.
Scary.
It'll be rebranch.
It'll be like FloatLife Fest 3, rebranch.
It feels less like a gladiator vibe, like you're going in to die. Yeah. And more like you're going in to have fun.
Thunderdome scares a lot of very experienced riders.
I haven't raced it the last 2 years.
Included.
So gnarly. Yeah. Yep. But this one's fun. I raced head-to-head Thor down it. I raced Dave head to head down it there at Sky Tavern, and it's so fun. It's like just thrilling enough to where you're not just like, oh, this is just mellow,
Right.
you know, but there's sends, there's rock gaps in it. There's all sorts of fun stuff. So
I got like the tabletops too.
be there, Trail Slayer next year,
Be
June
there.
24th, but come to Shredfest the week before too, and then spend a whole week out here. We can all hang out. It'll be a super good time, and we'll see you there.
It'll be sweet.
Wear those function wrist guards.
Yeah, wear those for
yes,
sure.
sir. Yes, sir. Well, that pretty much does it for our episode. I thank you guys very much for coming and joining us, hanging out and watching. Thank you, Neil, very much for coming and kicking it. Anytime we hit this guy up, like, hey, we need somebody to shoot this, do this. Hey, can you come hang out, be this? There's hardly ever been a time that you haven't showed up for the homies. So I super appreciate you, man.
I got you.
You're a fucking beautifully rad, honorable soul, and the community and Onewheeling and all of us are just so lucky to have you, brother.
Thank you, guys. It means
Yeah,
a lot.
man.
Appreciate you.
And don't forget, he's a really good golfer and a really good bowler. He's bowled a 300.
Yep.
I learned something new about Neil today.
Dude, he's like the that most interesting man in the world meme that's kind of going around again, where it's like he could tell fire to be cold, and like his whiskey pours itself for him.
Yeah.
Like he's the most interesting man. That's Neil.
Nice.
Yep,
That's
you.
not my goal. That's just how.
But you just do it naturally, bro. It's all good.
Appreciate you.
You have that beautiful humility. We'll talk you up. Don't worry about it. All right, guys, let's get back to work. I pulled Jeff away.
Yeah, we got a premiere tonight.
We have a premiere tonight. Holy shit. Yeah, we got to get ready for the premiere. You guys should come to the premiere. It's too late at this point.
It's a week or
Colton
two
has
ago
now
at this
edited the
point.
Pull out those
podcast.
time
It's out.
machines.
But you can watch the video. It's Shred Life. Julian spent a long time on it, and I'm
Yep.
sure you've seen it by now because it's coming out before this comes out.
Yep. And it's awesome, super rad. And it's about Austin and Mercedes and Kyle and Allie and Shredfest.
And Benoit.
And Benoit. And
Yeah, props
Onewheeling.
to you guys for having the storyline to go with it. Like, it's gonna be
Yeah,
cool.
shout out
Something
Julian.
different.
Shout out Julian and shout out Godfather Jeff for making it all happen. Woo woo.
You
All right, guys. Hey, this has been episode 3 of The Float Live. We're live. It's live. We're super stoked to see you guys next time, but we were stoked to see you this time too. So make sure you watch more of our videos if you're going to keep watching videos, or go ride your one wheel because we love riding one wheels. And what should they do, boys?
Should they float on, my friends? Or are you saying
After
they should
like
subscribe?
and subscribe, dude.
Yeah. Well, no one has made it to the end of this hour-long podcast that isn't subscribed. You don't watch us for an hour without being
I
subscribed.
know
to this
Nico's
channel.
here. Nico's here.
Of course, Nico's here, bro. Nico's everywhere. Are you kidding me?
Nico,
He's
what's
probably out
up?
riding his vest with the remote control right now.
Quick
Yeah.
sidetrack, and we're trying to end this. Did you see he's got a controller where he can adjust
Yes.
his nose height?
On the fly. And
Remotely?
it's quick, too. And it's like way more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's
So-
pretty nuts. You could be rolling into something and just like kick your nose up and go like
Check
way
me
up.
out, though. Dado's got that wired into his phone, dude. The volume buttons change it.
What?
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
That dude is on some next level.
What about a jump?
business.
What about a jump sequence? One button like preps you, and then it's ready. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
my God.
That
Wow.
would be rad.
I love You just
Sustain
bend down,
it.
press a button on your board, engage.
Yeah.
No,
I
you'd
love
have it on like
All
your
right,
palm.
suspension, but it fires off and pops you up into
Like,
the air.
dong!
Yeah.
I'll take that too.
Sky's
about
like
a
future
freaking
motion. Look, get
volley.
it to us. We'll see you soon.
See you next time.
Okay,
Oh,
this
shit.
got
All
off
right,
the rails.
guys. Float
See you
on,
guys.
my friends.
Float on, my friends.
We love you.
Peace.
Woo.